going on, YouTube? It's Disode here again. This is the full review of the Tomoquads Lil Predator X. This is a 2-inch that flies like a 5-inch. That is exactly what this little thing is. You know, we're in a whole new era of these little tiny micro brushless quad builds, and this is one I'm using the new Emax 1106s on, and it's a 6,000 kV. It is ridiculous. You can see I'm using for the pack, I'm using a ready-made RC 3S 450. This is a tough little quad. I mean, I have rolled it through the grass already, doing some gate flying, hit some branches with it pretty high up, doing some tree diving with some freestyle stuff. Very, very impressed with this little quad. Another thing is this thing is designed around the Micro Swift and Micro Swift 2 from Runcam. So it's really a great upgrade, like for you guys. A lot of guys on my channel are flying the Babyhawk. You know, this is a nice step up. I do want to make a couple notes as we move into this. We're going to talk about the Emax motors a little bit. And, you know, those just came out about a week ago. So Emax was nice enough to send me a set of those to sponsor this build, and Runcam sent me a Micro Swift 2 to use in the build. I want to say for you guys out there that are in that Babyhawk group and you're looking maybe to do your first build, you want to get something that's a little bit faster, a little bit lighter, you want to have an upgraded camera and not have to hack into your Babyhawk, this is something that I'm highly, highly recommending. And the reason being is, now that we have the little cubes, the flight controller 4-in-1 ESC cubes, this is a super, super simple build. You can check out the build information up here in the top right-hand corner. There's a link to the build video, and you know, it's a very easy build. So I highly recommend this for any of you guys that are moving up from a Babyhawk and want to get something that a little bit more powerful, a little bit more stronger, you know, with some upgrades to it. This is a great step. It's probably, even for a newbie, I would say you're looking at an hour to 2 hours build, and you know, it's really not a whole lot of difficulty. The soldering is not that bad. I'm using the Fly Tower F425 in this because I had a bunch of those. It's a great little tower, but there's all kinds of cubes out there. Fly Tower has a couple different cubes too if you wanted to do a 2S or a 3S build, and you, with a 425, you can even go to a 4S build if you wanted to. And Emax has got some motors now than the 1106 RS series that are 4S capable. It goes to a 4500 kV. So that's something to consider also. All right, guys, let's go through my pros and cons for this, and then we'll get into some flight footage. And I'm telling you, this is a great little one from Tomoquads. Okay, so one of the first things I want to point out with this actually does pretty decent on 2S. If you fly this on 2S with this motor combo, you're pretty much right at the spec, maybe probably a little tiny bit faster, a little bit more punch than you have with your Babyhawk, but you can still fly this at 2S. Also, with 3S, I want to make a point of saying that these motors run very cool at 3S. You know, warm, but you can touch them and hold them between your fingers, and it's not going to burn you. These Emax 1106s are a little bit taller, and you know, Emax is new to the game with designing these little motors, and they're doing a phenomenal job. But sometimes we see motors that are in 1106 that are not a standardized size as far as the standard 1106. These ones are a little bit taller. So what that means is, you know, lots of times I do these builds with the newest parts available, and I do them before anybody else has done them. And this was one of those things. I go from the build video into the flight testing, came across a little something that you need to keep in mind. With the 1106 from Emax, since it is taller, you need to get yourself some 25mm standoffs, and use a 25mm standoff here. The reason being, the upper plate on the Lil Predator, there's clearance when you use the included standoffs in the kit, but these props, they flex. So when you go up and you start to come back down, they will bang against this upper plate in the back, only in the back. So one thing you can do if you don't have standoffs and you are using this motor combination is you can take the little rubberized mounts for the flight controller, and see, since I'm using the F425, I used the standoffs that came with the flight controller, so I had these extra little rubber standoffs, and you can put them to extend the standoff to give yourself a little bit more space. But for any of you guys out there that are using this motor combination, keep that in mind. It is a little bit taller, so your props are going to be up a little bit higher. Now let's talk about how tough this is. This is a pretty sturdy frame. The bottom plate is 2.5 millimeters thickness, so you know it's very, very sturdy. Yeah, you can smash it into concrete probably full on from a drop of 150 feet and you may break an arm. The top camera pod plates and the upper plate is 1.5 millimeters. One other little thing too is, it's up to you guys, but you don't need to use as many standoffs. With the Runcam Micro Swift in there, you know, you're connecting the two sides of that, and then you can put one standoff in the rear, and if you want to, you can put one standoff in the front. Super strong little frame. You know, I would say definitely much tougher than, say, the Babyhawk frame. Also, you can use the Horizon Hobby prop guards from the Torrent will fit on this. So if you are, you know, wondering about that and you're going from the Babyhawk and you want to still have, you know, the prop guards to protect yourself a little bit, you can get a set of Torrent prop guards and they fit on this. The Predator is a true X frame, so the pod is very CG oriented right in the center, and that's one of the things that adds some real sturdiness to the Little Predator also, is that, you know, you got that same design. You have 4 standoffs clear around that are supporting the upper plate from the bottom plate, so that's really making this thing extra strong on that end. I also want to point out too that there is a lot of room inside this little beast. There's a bunch of room to do whatever you need to do inside the stack area, and also there's plenty of room to mount your VTX, which I mounted mine right underneath the bottom here. It's designed for a VTX A3 from Eachine, or a VTX A3 or A2, excuse me, from Eachine. So you got a little hole there where you can see your readout of your channel and your power rating. So that's another real nice feature on this frame. It's a great little VTX, probably currently the most lightest VTX that we have in the 200 milliwatt range, and you can get this, the VTX A3 is switchable from 25 clear up to 200 milliwatt. One thing I did do here too, since I use a Lemon DSMX, I don't know if you can see, I took these holes, like I said, I didn't need all the standoffs for this thing, and I just took an extractor knife and kind of widened the hole a little bit. And if you guys are like me and you like to use the Lemon DSMX, the plastic ends that come out with the antenna on the Lemon DSMX fit right in that hole after you do that, and it takes no time to do, and that really secures the sat receiver, so you don't have to worry about taping it down, you don't have to worry about it falling off. It's not going anywhere because it's mounted in between the upper carbon fiber plate. Let's put this thing on the scales, guys, and see what we are at weight wise, and check that out. This is completely and totally built with everything except for the LiPo, and with the Runcam Micro Swift 2, and I'm using 2 standoffs on the upper plate. And we're at like 79 grams. Okay guys, one more quick thing before we jump to some flight footage here. I want to make a point of saying that, you know, the more I've been flying this in the last 24 hours, the harder I am pushing it. And with a 450 pack, if you're pushing it literally just as hard as you can possibly push it, you're more in the 2 to 2.5 minute range. You know, I've been landing a little bit past 2 minutes to check the packs. The flight clip that we're going to see is one of those flights, because I was just absolutely pushing it as hard as I could possibly push it. And I want you to keep that in mind. It's going to depend. You can go clear up to a 600 milliamp pack, but I want to say it's going to depend on your flight style and what exactly you're doing. If you are pushing this thing you know, to the absolute brink to get the maximum just non-stop punch outs and just ripping balls with this thing, I think that you're probably going to want to go with a 600 milliamp pack. If you're doing moderate flying with some punch outs and some light freestyle, then like I think you're all right, and you'll be right around the 3-minute mark with a 450 pack. All right, we're going to jump to some flight footage. I was absolutely floored with this thing. The more I pushed it and the more I got used to it, the speed and the punch out from a 2-inch build is just truly incredible, which you're going to see here in the flight footage. Also note that my PIDS, where I'm at right now, which are pretty locked in, you'll see from the flight footage, are below in the description, so you can start with those and then you can tweak it to a little bit for whatever flight controller you're using or however you prefer your flight style. Let's check out the flight footage and then we'll come back with some quick closing comments and wrap this all up. So as you can see, guys, this thing it's probably one of the sickest 2-inch 3S builds that I've ever done. It is off the ever-loving hook. The punch out speed, especially on a fresh pack, the start is just, it's like a freaking rocket ship the way it takes off. The speed to be able to come out of the turns, and with the punch, you can recover from any freestyle move that you possibly need to do. These motors have the torque and the power to just rocket ship through anything that you need to do. Super tough little frame. Awesome with the Micro Swift 2 camera in it. It absolutely makes the speed and the accuracy of what you can see and what you're flying so much better than an AIO cam or anything like that. I'm going to wrap it up right there. I don't really have any negatives to say whatsoever about this frame. Highly recommend this one, guys. We're going to have the Tomoquads Micro 2 coming up here next. And then after that, we're going to go to doing a review of the Runcam Split. And then we're going to use the Runcam Split in new Tomoquads build, the Punisher. So that's what's coming up here in the next month. The Punisher will probably be towards the latter part of September. Please subscribe, leave some comments. Always glad to help you guys, and especially my subscribers. I go the extra mile for you guys because you make this channel what it is. And thanks out to Tomoquads, Runcam, and Emax. Appreciate all the support. Peace out. Happy flights, guys.